As a child, did you ever daydream about having a superpower? I did. I wanted to be a speedy fashion girl, changing from one creative outfit to another in the speed of light. I'd never run out of outfits, and actually I'd be there for anyone who was having a what shall I wear crisis at a moment's notice. The thing about superheroes is that they're brilliant at using their difference as a strength. And they always use their power for good. I love the idea of superheroes. Think about the X-Men. Think about Wonder Woman. Yeah, they actually didn't choose to have those powers, but they made the very, very best of them. Now, you might be thinking, superheroes always have an alter ego, don't they? And actually, they're not out and proud with their difference. But I think every superhero, every fictional character has an ounce of truth in their story. What's your difference? Are you using it for the power and the good of everyone? So, I have personally always felt different. Through the power of genetics, I have two wonderful parents, both with dark brown hair and dark brown eyes and medium to dark brown skin. And I was born a little bit different. You probably can't see from there, but I have hazel eyes, and my complexion is a lot lighter. And this word behind me says chabin. Now, in French Creole, chabin means light-skinned negress. And ultimately, from a very early age, I was very aware that my skin was a lot lighter than that of my family. Now, I found out that this was because apparently on my great-grandmother on my father's side was half Scottish. I've always felt this difference, and it's always been something that's been with me. And throughout my life, there have been many differences. So I was one of the very few black girls in my Catholic school. I was often the youngest and only black woman in my places of work. And colleagues I worked with often had quite different backgrounds to my working class start. Now, this difference that I talk about, it's not huge, and some people might not even notice or think about it. Other people may say, oh, actually, it's a privilege to be how you are and who you are. But the thing about feeling different is that actually what you end up doing and what I end up yearning to do was fit in all of my environments. So when I was in the world of work, what I would do is maybe think about the language I used and the uniform I wore and the TV shows I watched in order to be able to have the right conversation, be able to be speaking and doing the right things. When I was with my colleagues in Sloane Square, I find myself speaking a little bit more poshly in order to fit in with the conversation. I've been watching TV shows that I really wasn't interested in order to be able to have that conversation on Monday morning. And fit in, instead of stand out, was always what I was thinking about doing. So I had this at-home persona, and I had this at-work persona. And I was chameleon-like in my approach to life. Do you have a work persona and an at-home persona? Are they different? Why? And what impact does that have on you? It definitely will have an impact. It definitely will be different. But there are rewards for fitting in, aren't there? Lots of rewards. You feel accepted. You feel part of the gang. And actually, you can get some satisfaction in the fact that maybe you're fooling people. You know, they don't really know who I am. If only they knew what I was doing at the weekend. You know, you get some of that satisfaction. So there's something about, actually, being rewarded for fitting in, being rewarded for having this mask and not showing your difference. That can make you continue to do so. But about 12 years ago now, I had some feedback. And it made me realise the thing about having a mask is that actually smart people can see straight through it. Yeah? They can see straight through it. And the feedback I had was, actually, Jenny, you're really young, because 12 years ago I was. And why are you dressing like an old woman? Why are you dressing this way? Why are you being this way? And it made me realise that she could see my difference. And she could see my superpower. And she realised I wasn't using it. And I thought, what do I do? What would Wonder Woman do in this situation? Should I go to another town and assume a new identity? You know, what I've been found out. And it made me question myself in many, many different ways. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the game Guess Who? It's a game where there are lots of different faces, all different people, beards, glasses, hairstyles, and so many different types of people. And you choose a person, but your partner or opponent doesn't know who that is. And by a process of elimination, you get to hopefully hone down to that person. Now, lucky for me, I have a beautiful, diverse audience right in front of me. So I want us to play a game of Guess Who right now. So I want you just to put one hand up. Okay? Okay. If you're a man, put your hand down. Okay? If you have brown eyes, put your hands down. If you wear glasses, put your hands down. If you've ever suffered from anxiety, put your hand down. If you're a member of the LGBT community, put your hands down. If you are homeschooled, put your hands down. Okay, so we're left with about 5 people in the audience. You can put your hands down. Thank you. Okay. Now, the reason I did that is because actually the first 3 questions were pretty easy, weren't they? We talked about gender, we talked about eye colour, we talked about things we wear, like glasses. And often we don't mind standing out for some of those differences. But the next 3 questions I asked about anxiety, you know, our mental health. I talked about being a part of the LGBT community, something that we don't always feel that we can share. And these questions and our schooling and education, these things sometimes make us feel quite different. And sometimes affect us quite deeply in who we feel we can be in different environments. If you're an employer here, if you're a boss of any sort, how do you open up that conversation and give people permission to be their full selves, exactly who they are? You know, maybe you say it's all right to have people with brown eyes and brown hair, and it's all right to be a man or a woman, but some of these other things, you might not be giving permission for to have in the conversation. And thinking about this and myself not being me and not sharing my difference made me think about a number of things. The first is I have a 14-year-old daughter who's here right now. But when I was having this realisation, she was only about 2 years old, 1 or 2 years old. And I thought, if I cannot be me, if I cannot show my difference, show my superpower, how would she ever have permission to do that? I also thought that actually by stepping into, actually ditching my mask and wearing the cape, I might give other people permission to do the same. And this all coincided with my career journey changing. I decided to start running my own business, start a leadership and coaching consultancy. So I thought, I can be me. I haven't got a boss. I haven't got other people frowning at me when I walk into the office saying she's not quite fitting in. Actually, I can go in mad pursuit of being me and find out exactly who that is. I don't know if you've ever heard the quote by David Roll. He says, "No one is you, and that is your power." And I thought, yeah, it can be my superpower. So I started to actually try and dare to be me. And the journey wasn't easy. To madly embrace being me should have been the easiest thing, because actually I no longer had to pretend. So what I did was I started to craft some experiments for myself. Running this new business, having to put myself out there, I thought, there's nothing to stop me. So my first experiment was to go to quite a high-profile event, craft a controversial question, and think that I would stand up and say this question. I'm Jenny Garrett, and this is what I think. I got to the event. I had my question carefully written out. I sat in the audience, and they said, "Any questions?" I put my head down, because I thought, oh my gosh, this is too scary. I can't do this. But I still carried on in mad pursuit of being me. So the second thing I thought would be much easier. I'd start to dress in a way that really shone my personality. I'd wear things that I thought really showed who I was. But actually, when I got myself ready and wanted to go to appointments in corporate organisations, I ended up putting on that black suit and thinking, what would they think if I was going to wear something flamboyant and colourful? My third experiment was to go to networking events and talk to people who I normally would, and to go into environments where people didn't know me. And I dressed myself up, maybe actually in the clothes that I thought showed my personality. I'd walk in the door, but as soon as someone looked at me a little bit unwelcomingly, I'd turn around and make my excuses and go. Being in mad pursuit of being me wasn't easy. But it started to become easier. I started to just be me, to dare to be me one step at a time. I challenged myself to write a book, and I did it. I challenged myself to actually find the people who actually were like me. And I started to build groups of people who got it. The journey wasn't easy. In mad pursuit of me, then I had to fail over and over again in order to find myself. And I want to give you some tips in doing exactly that same journey. Basically, you have to be mad. That's the starting point. M for you have to make new pathways. A, you have to accept your imperfections. And D, you have to do something different. I'm going to elaborate on that. In order to make new pathways, you have to understand how your brain is already working. So I'm going to give you a test right now. I want you to think of the first colour that comes to mind and note it. Have you done it? I want you to think of the first piece of furniture that comes to mind and note it. Have you done it? And I want you to think of the first flower that comes to mind and note it. Have you done so? Okay. So for the colour, if anyone had red or blue, I'd like you to put your hand up. I'd say that's maybe 60 to 70% of the audience. Okay? For the furniture, you put your hands down. For the furniture, if you had chair, couch, sofa, I'd like you to put your hand up. Ooh, maybe 80%, maybe even more. And for the flower, if you had rose or daisy, put your hand up. Okay. Now, how did I do that? I'm definitely not a mind reader or a hypnotherapist, none of those things. But actually, what happens is we get so much information on a daily basis, we have to make shortcuts in our brain. We have to create pathways. So we think of colour and we think red or blue. Yeah, they're the first two colours that come to mind. They'll be my go-to colours. We think furniture. Oh yeah, I come across chairs, sofas. Yeah, I use them all the time. I'll think of that. Flowers, maybe you get roses. Maybe you hear about daisies often. And they become your shortcut. If I gave you half an hour, you may have come up with a plethora of all of these things. I gave you a very short time and you went to your go-to places. Now we need to create new pathways if we're going to embrace our difference and our own uniqueness. We're going to ditch the mask and actually don our capes. We need to create new pathways in our brain, and we need to create our new shortcuts and our new ways of thinking. People who didn't put their hands up are people that you should partner with. They're people that you should actually think, can you help me with my creativity? Can you help me think differently? Because actually they are not thinking in the same way as you, and they can help you create your new journey, your new path to your uniqueness and your difference. This thing about accepting our imperfections is a toughie. From a young age, we're told to do things right and do things properly, and we seem to be in pursuit of perfection. To say it's okay to not be perfect is a tough thing to admit. One thing I've always struggled with as a speaker is my voice. When I started out, I felt it was far too squeaky and too high-pitched. And as I've gone on, some people have loved my voice and found great resonance with it, and other people have said it's too calm and it's too even. It's sending me to sleep. And the moment I chose to embrace my own voice, the more powerful I believe it became. And I stopped worrying about the people who didn't like my voice and embraced those who did. And they, for me, became my tribe of people who got it and who got me. So instead of worrying about things that people don't like about you, focus on your strength and focus on those who do get it and who do appreciate you and who do want what you have and want what you have to offer. And that means you say, you know what, I'm not perfect, but this is still me. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. This imperfection is a strength of mine. And this last thing about doing something different makes me think of a client of mine. She was working in corporate organisations and had worked her way up to the board. And something that was one of her unique things was that she loved to wear flamboyant high heels. They were always bright, they were always different. And she came to me and said, in this new role, how can I have these high heels? Do they detract from me being a board member? Do they detract from the seriousness of how people should be taking me? And I said, no, they're part of you. They are you. And actually, by wearing them, you're showing a bit about who you are. You're creating interest in you. And maybe you might even give people permission to be different as well. But she, like me at times, was not brave enough to do that. And she went into her meetings with some very plain flats. And she said, I didn't get any comments, but I also didn't feel very confident anymore. It took away a bit of my superpower, a bit of me being me. And so through our coaching, she chose to go back to wearing her heels. And not bat an eyelid when people maybe looked at her strangely for dressing in this way. But also received comments, not in front of everyone else, but comments from other people coming up to her saying, thanks for wearing those. Actually, thanks for being you. Thanks for not having to fit in. Thanks for being different. And as a result, you know what? I can do exactly that same thing. So be mad. Make new pathways. accept your imperfections, and do something different. And ultimately, you'll have the courage to embrace being you. You'll be able to ditch that mask. You'll be able to don the cape, as I am doing today, in pursuit of being you. One thing I've been able to do as a result of really embracing my difference is really gather a tribe of people around me who really want to do the same. They're called my happinistas. They make things happen in their own unique way. And unique is the key to being that. It's knowing everything about me that's unique is my strength. So I want you to ditch the mask, don the cape, in mad pursuit of being you. But my final advice, only use your powers for good. Thank you.